Welcome, everybody, to week 16 of the NFL Presidential Address. I'm Lawrence Pressman, co-founder of WagerTalk Media, owner of Sports Memo, The Gold Sheet, and, of course, the best, the biggest, and the greatest sports handicapping website on the planet, WagerTalk.com. If you guys have never bumped into this video before, I'm going to take apart every single NFL game of the week. It is Friday. Normally I do this video on Tuesday, but I was out of town, so normally you'll get this video a little earlier in the week. But it is Friday. We got tons to talk about, and let's get on with it. Houston, they're playing on Saturday, first game up. They're going into Kansas City, plus 3.5, a total here of 41.5. And right off the bat, I'm just going to tell you guys I'm passing on this game. It is a tough game from my perspective, but if you were looking to bet it, and you need to bet it, the play is the under. Kansas City's defense has been lights out. They held Cleveland to 7, and Houston's offense has been completely out of rhythm for the whole year, really. C.J. Stroud is definitely not having the season he had last year, and at 42.5, even 40, I don't think either of these teams maybe get into the 20s. Kansas City has not scored a ton. This is a pass, but I do lean on under the total. Next, we got Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Wow, this is a beautiful matchup. Pittsburgh at plus 6.5 here, going into Baltimore. The total in this game is 44.5, and it keeps getting bet down, and I understand why. So I'm going to give you the argument to the over. I'm going to give you the argument to the under, and then I'm going to tell you which way I'm going. Right off the bat, I am not touching the side in this game. We have to look at the over in this game, and I don't care about weather. This total is low. The Ravens have scored 41 points themselves 3 times in their last 10 games, and over 30 7 times in their last 10 football games. They're also not playing great defensively, and they haven't been all year. Pittsburgh only put up 13 on Philadelphia last week, but they scored 27 on the Browns and 44 on Cincinnati. And since Wilson took over, they've been a much better offense. Now, I know Pickens is a big loss, but I still think against this Baltimore Ravens defense, Pittsburgh is going to score. Here is the issue. All these two teams do when they play against each other is go under. I think the last time these two teams played to the over was in 1842. I think it's now 7,312 times to the under. Man, it's just weird. 1816 was the score the last time these two teams played against each other, and that was 4 weeks ago. Before that, 5 straight games where the total didn't even get to 30. The last time these two teams scored more than 40 points combined against each other was November 1st, 2020. We stared right into this stat last time they played each other. We took the over then. We were wrong. And what are we going to do here? We're going to take the over again. Look, the bottom line is, more often than not, trends like 13-0 to the under, 10-0 to the under, 10-0 ATS, 0-10 ATS, more often than not, they do tend to come back to the means. This particular matchup has not, but I think it will. Slowly but surely, these two teams are going to play to the over head-to-head. It is a low number. I'm going counterintuitive. We're taking Baltimore and Pittsburgh over the total. Now let's turn our attention to Sunday, Cleveland and Cincinnati. And before we get into that, I want to make mention that it is bowl season. And this is one of the best times to bet college football all year long. I have dominated the bowls. I am 68% in the bowls over the last 2 years, 68% win rate over the last 2 years. Those are incredible numbers. I am the second most profitable handicapper at WagerTalk over the last 2 bowl seasons. And you guys can get my entire bowl year, every game until the national championship game, for only $149. That is a steal of a price, especially given how good I am at this sport. Cleveland plus 7.5 going into Cincinnati. It's now 8.5 money coming in on the Bengals. The total in this game, 46.5 to 47. And right off the bat, I'm telling you, I do not have a side bet for you. I cannot bet the Bengals minus 8.5, minus 7.5, minus 9, whatever that line you get is. And I don't trust the Browns, especially defensively. What I like is the over in this game. We know Cincinnati is going to get us 27 or more points. The Bengals have scored 27 or more in 6 straight. And frankly, I think they get us to 34 in this game. Can Cleveland get us 14? They didn't against Kansas City, but they did it. They got to 14 against Pittsburgh. I think they're going to get into the 20s here, guys. Kansas City and Pittsburgh are two of the best defenses in the league. The Bengals, well, they are one of the worst D units in all of football. Everybody scores on this team. These two teams did play against each other in October, and the score was 21-14 or an under. Jameson was not playing in that game, and Burrows had his worst offensive game maybe in his career. That game was an aberration. Honestly, I think this is going to be one of the highest scoring games of the week. Take Cleveland and Cincinnati over the total. Now we look at Detroit minus 6.5 against Chicago, a total of 48. I want to bet the Lions here. I really do, especially after they lost last week. Betting the Lions after a loss with Dan Campbell, that's a good bet, guys. I just think this is a terrible spot for the Lions. I just feel like, well, they might win. They're going to win this game, but the line is probably too high. The reason, honestly, is the Lions are so injured. And what a bummer for them. This is a Super Bowl contending team. This might be the best team in all of football, and now they've lost Montgomery. They first lose their best defenseman. Now they lose their second or third best offensive player. Their O-line is a mess. Their defense is riddled with injuries. Even St. Brown has been playing hurt for the last few games. I don't know, guys. I think this might be an upset in the making. So why don't I bet the Bears? Well, because they're anemic on offense, and I just can't trust them. The Lions can literally win this game 20-12 or lose this game 20-19. I just don't like the spot for the Lions. I don't like how banged up they are, and I don't like the fact that the Bears, with Caleb and their new coach, are trying their damnedest. The line is too high or low. The total is too high or low. We're going to pass on Detroit and Chicago. Arizona and Carolina, minus 4.5 for Arizona, a total of 47. I hate to look at road chalk here, but the Cards are fighting for their lives, and this Panther team sucks. And why do I use the word suck? Because they are playing their hardest. They are really trying. They are even keeping games close, and yet still they are losing game after game after game, and they haven't covered this number in their last two. I do think we get a solid effort from Carolina, but I don't think it'll be enough. I'm not going to get to the window on this play, but Arizona up to 6 does give us a lot of value. Take the Cards, minus 4.5 as a small lead. New England plus 14 against Buffalo. Lots of money coming in on New England, and I understand well. All Buffalo does, though, is score. Literally, that is what they do. They have put up 90 points in their last 2 games. Now, I have not counted how many points, Jacksonville has put up or New England in their last, say, the entire season, but it might not even be 90. That's how many points Buffalo scores. 90 points in their last 2 games, 8 games in a row where they have scored 30 or more. Should we just assume that this is the week they will forget how to score? New England just let Arizona put 30 on them. Indy just put 25 up on them. Miami put 34 up on them. I think it's a fair bet that Buffalo puts 30 or more up this Sunday. I think it's fair Buffalo puts 40 up this Sunday. And New England, well, they're moving the ball. They're not great on offense, but they are moving the ball, and they're at least scoring a little. If we get 17 out of New England, this game goes over the total, and I think we will. They just put up 17 on Arizona, and they have scored less than 17 once in their last 7 games. I can't bet the Bills here. Way too much chalk for them, and a bad spot for them as well. After a huge win against the Lions, they're running out of time to catch this Kansas City Chiefs team. They might not have the defensive intensity in this football game. I like over the total, regardless of weather. Philadelphia, Washington. Philly now -3.5. It was 3 money coming in on the Eagles. The total in this game, 45.5. And I want Philadelphia all day long in this game. This is a great spot to bet on Philadelphia. Not only have they won 10 games in a row, but they have covered -3.5 in every single one of those games. I mean, most haven't even been close. The last time these two teams played, Philly beat them 26-18, but they played a horrible first 3 quarters. It might have been their worst game of the season, and they still got it done, and they still covered that number. Let me bottom line this. Philly had a horrible run at the end of last year, but take out 7 or so games, and this team has been incredible for 3 straight seasons. This is a veteran football team, and whether it's a bad day for Jalen or not, they just keep winning. Washington is a great story. Don't get me wrong, guys. They've been a good football team all year, but they are not the Eagles, and Philly needs to win out for home field advantage. This Washington team barely beat the Saints. Literally, it came down to the Saints missing a 2-point conversion. Sure, they beat Tennessee, but they lost 3 straight before that and almost lost to the Giants. They're on their way up, no doubt. They've found themselves a quarterback, no doubt. They've got weapons everywhere, no doubt. Dan Quinn's been coaching great. I'm with everybody. I get it. Philly is just a much better football team. I think they win between 6 and 10 points. Take Philly -3.5. The Giants +8.5 playing Atlanta. Totally are 42.5. What a disappointment this Falcons team has been. No longer do they have this division in their hands, and they're basically in must-win mode for the rest of the season. They lose 1 game, they're not getting into the playoffs. This spread will literally come down to how few points the Giants score. And frankly, I don't think it will be many. The Giants are getting a maximum of 17 points in this game, an absolute maximum of 17 points, which, by the way, would be their second highest score in 6 games and their third highest score in 9 games. I have to think that this is a get-right game for the Falcons, but one could have thought that against the Raiders. So if I don't think the Giants will score more than 17, will Atlanta put up 27 to cover this number? Big ask for a team that haven't scored more than 21 points in 5 straight games. So no, I don't think they can put up 27. But I also don't think the Giants get to 17. My initial gut reaction is the Falcons are covering the spread. But I like the under even more. I can't bet -8.5 and an under. So we're going to stick to the under in this game. 42.5 points. The Giants have scored 20 or more points twice. Yes, twice in 9 games. And once in their last 5. The Falcons have scored a maximum of 21 points in any game over their last 5. And they're playing really good defensively. Plus, if you look at how the Falcons beat the Raiders, and this is a crucial point, they have realized that Kirk Cousins is throwing nothing but interceptions, and they have become a heavy run football team. Kirk Cousins threw the ball 17 times last week against the Raiders. 17 times for a grand total of 112 yards. They ran the ball 34 times. I expect the exact same on Sunday. Take the New York Giants in Atlanta under the total. As for Tennessee and Indy, it's a straight pass for me. The Rams -3 against the New York Jets, total of 46.5. So, full disclosure, I have banned myself from betting against the Steelers this year, and I have a similar ban on betting on the Jets. So this play is officially not on the Jets. This play is against the Rams. I know the Rams are in must-win mode. I get it. But this is just probably the single most horrible spot for any team all year. This would be the bad spot of the year spot. Warm weather team playing in the cold. West Coast team playing on the East Coast. West Coast team playing at 1 p.m. on the East Coast. And it's the sandwich game of all time. I mean, it's a clubhouse sandwich game. Literally, the Rams just beat San Fran, a huge division rival. Before that, they beat the Bills. And next up, they got Arizona and Seattle. So sandwiched between Buffalo and San Fran and Arizona and Seattle sits the New York Jets. Also, Rodgers played his first good game of the season last week, and I think the Jets try on Sunday. I don't know if I have the balls to make this play, guys, but man, this is a horrible spot for the LA Rams. Take the New York Jets plus the 3. Minnesota, Seattle, crucial game for both teams, but more so for the Hawks, who basically have to win out to get in, and this is a winnable game for them. This is a horrible spot for Minnesota. They just beat up Chicago, and they have Green Bay and Detroit up next. But we're not going to look at the side in this game. We're going to look at the total, which I think is way too low at 42.5. This Minnesota team can score. They just put up 30, 42, 23, 30, and 23 in their last 5 games. The Seattle Seahawks, they've been inconsistent in scoring, I get it, but they did put up 30 against Arizona and 26 against the Jets. And that's 2 of their last 3 games. Their last game against Green Bay, they only put up 13. But keep in mind, Geno left early in this game. I think Seattle can get us 20 or more points. I know there might be snow. We spoke about this. Snow does not cause unders. Sometimes they help overs as the defenders slip more. The key is wind, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a bad day. I think it is acceptable weather-wise so far. I like over the total, and I think both teams do get into the 20s here. San Fran against Miami. This is a pick'em game, 44.5. I lean on the over in this game, especially now that it has been bet down, but I am passing. Jacksonville and the Raiders, guys, this is another stone cold pass for me. If I had to bet this game, I would take under the total. The good thing is I don't have to bet it. Now we end with Tampa Bay against Dallas. Tampa Bay -4, totally are 48.5. We played against the Bucs last week and lost. What a performance by them. They beat the Chargers 40-17 and looked outstanding. They've also won 4 straight games in a row. They are in charge of their division. Destiny is in their hands, and all they need to do is keep winning football games. This team has the playoffs in sight. They just can't screw it up. But they will. Yes, you heard that. I think Dallas has a chance to win this game outright. I think Dallas has shown us that even in the middle of a horrible season, they are still trying to win football games. They just beat Carolina 30-14, and they've won 3 of their last 4, including going into Washington and beating that team 34-26. The NFL is crazy. Betting is wild. The second you think you got a handle on a team, that's when you don't. The second a team thinks they have the playoffs in control is the second they don't. Counterintuitive is the way to go. Don't be fooled. This Dallas team is better than their record, and Tampa Bay is in a bad spot here. Now, with that said, I don't know if I have the balls to play Dallas. I still got a couple of days to figure it out. But as of now, Dallas +4 is the play. Guys, thanks so much for watching the NFL Presidential Address. Christmas is right upon us. A few days from now, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Happy Hanukkah, happy whatever religious holiday that you celebrate or you don't. Make sure to spend a lot of time with your loved ones and don't be wrapped up in sports. This is not the time of the year to be staring at the TV all day and night. Your kids are home. Your wife is off. Have fun with your family. Lots of love. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.